Eh? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Northern Lights. We're here having a comfortable time with Aldrich, right. It's been a good night so far, I'd say. I nodded gently, my head nudging up and down his chest, not wanting to speak as I feared he would hear my voice crack.
Come on, let's get some food in our bellies.
Aldrich stepped away, and I hurried to dry my tears. I was still nervous about sharing a bed with him, but at least I felt safe, reminded once more that he wasn't going to let anything bad happen to me. After he plated up the chili dogs for us, Aldrich leaned back against the wall, and I took a seat in the only chair, my tail softly thumping as I happily enjoyed the warm, quick meal.
I hope it's alright. I'm not much of a cook.
It's wonderful. What matters most is the spirit you put into the dish. Is that what matters? I mean, it is in this case, but come on. I still want the food to be good. Actually good. I think I'm a good cook. I think I do okay. Yeah, I think that's better.
I'm not sure how much spirit helps if you turn a whole chicken into a piece of charcoal.
Oh, see, that's true. The shepherd chuckled softly, soon wiping his fingers clean, setting the empty plate on the counter.
I'm gonna go take a leak. Can you make the bed for us?
I nodded, and the shepherd wandered out of the cabin, keeping under the roof of the tower. My paw trembled as I fussed with the sheets, taking me 3 tries to actually get all of the corners tucked, soon spreading out the blanket and the pillows. The door of the tower creaked as Aldrich walked back in. As soon as I turned to face him, my maw dropped. Looks pretty good. Not gonna lie. It's a pretty good bod. With his shirt off, the shepherd looked like an Adonis. His firm gut, a toned chest, and fur that looked softer than silk. And needless to say, I had a hard time looking away. Aldrich didn't seem to notice my stare, as he went and popped a few more pieces of wood into the stove to last us the night, biting my tongue a bit before I popped wood as well. I want to take my shirt off. I should. It's just a shirt. What's the big deal if I do? I kept thinking to myself, yet every fiber of my upbringing was yelling at me to keep it on.
A storm should clear out by sunrise. We should get some sleep if you want to make it to work on time tomorrow.
Well, that's true. Aldrich cocked a brow at the sight of me holding the button of my shirt, frozen stiffer than a statue, unable to actually move my hand upward.
You can keep it on, if that would make you feel more comfortable.
No, it's okay. It's just a shirt. I'm being dumb.
You're not dumb. It's not your fault how you were raised, but it's your life now.
The shepherd turned to look at me straight in the eyes, an encouraging, heartfelt, and strangely longing expression on his face.
You make the call.
Hesitantly, I pulled my shirt off, dragging it out from an excruciating amount of time, as with each passing inch, I had to resist a renewed urge to immediately tuck it back on. Cool. His tail wagging rapidly back and forth, crossing my arms over my chest, too nervous to make eye contact. You go first. Aldrich took one last sip of his soda, crawling into bed, leaving the blanket pulled back for me to get in. He was facing me with a smile, trying to be as inviting as possible. Every nervous step I made towards the bed was a little faster than the last, my desire to be pressed against his soft, outweighing the fear of repressions. The springs in the mattress squeaked as I climbed in. I pressed my back firmly to the canine, a long tail draped over the shepherd's hip. There wasn't an inch to spare. If either of us moved to make more room, we'd fall to the floor. Aldrich soon pulled the blanket over us and nuzzled into his pillow.
Good night, Cody. Sweet dreams.
As I lay there, staring across the room as the glow of the wood stove fire, I found it hard to sleep, my mind filled with the thoughts of the shepherd. Hugging was one thing, but now being pressed so closely together, I couldn't pay too attention to anything else. Even though he was still in his pants, the firmness of his bulge under my tail was impossible to ignore. I bite my lip in an attempt to distract myself. I was picturing what I shouldn't even be allowed to be to picture. The thought of his paw exploring my body, the way he'd probably make excited whimpers, his his sniffs as we get more familiar with each other. Trembling next to him, I kept wondering what would happen if I rolled over to face the shepherd. By closing my eyes and fantasizing, I was burying my face into his chest. My whiskers twitched, taking in a deep breath, imagining his scent filling me completely, imagining it leaving me shaking like a leaf as he dragged his claws softly down the length of my back. Smiling, blushing, as the thought of him whispering sweet nothings in my ear, how he'd let out a hearty huff as he slipped his paw into my pants. I couldn't deny how deeply I was attracted to his looks, his personality, but I didn't want to make things weird between us. I was even terrified of how he would react if he found out about the way I kept thinking about him, stealing glances when he wasn't looking. I had known almost as soon as I hit puberty that my eyes were drawn to men. No matter how much I tried to convince myself otherwise, they always wandered back to any guy in the room with me. Never Tobin and Liam, though. I didn't see them that way. But most other guys I ran across made my body shiver. Why was I so scared? Still fighting myself. I don't want to be scared anymore. I just want to be me. After what felt like an eternity, the sound of the sheets of rain against the glass, the crackling of the fire manages to lull me to sleep. Oh? Okay, groggily, I opened my eyes. The sound of the storm winds had really picked up, occasionally rattling the window of the tower. The cabin was rather cold now, barely any glow from the nearly extinguished wood stove. Crawling out of bed, I wandered over and grabbed a few pieces of wood, dropping them onto the last barely burning pieces of timber. Glancing out into the dark tree line, I noticed the rain had all but stopped. Just a small drizzle now, still enough clouds in the sky to blot out the stars and moon. Then there was a lull in the winds, and my ears twitched. A ghostly whistle filled the void. Cautiously, I stepped outside onto the walkway, trying to pinpoint where the sound was coming from. The night was frigid, any summer warmth from the day prior completely taken away from the storm front. Just as I thought about heading back to the bed, I noticed a faint lamplight amongst the trees. The whistling grew louder, a faint tune, one that seemed familiar and beloved by its player. What? Okay. Transfixed, I slowly made my way down the stairs, setting my bare paw on the soaked forest floor. Mindlessly heading toward the lamplight in the tree line, the whistling too grew clearer, and I even found myself starting to hum along. Each new verse I joined halfway through, as if only half remembering the lyrics of a familiar song. Standing just at the edge of the tree line, I looked straight at the glow of the lamp, which seemed just as far here as it did from the top of the tower. Is someone out there? The moment I asked, the lamplight went out, leaving me in the forest in darkness once again. Even though the whistling was gone, what returned to its place was a growing realization that I was only half dressed, wet from rain, and turning into a popsicle. Hurriedly, yet carefully, I climbed back up the tower, taking a moment to shake off extra water, wipe my feet, and finally crawl back into bed. I'm sure that was nothing, guys. I'm sure that was nothing. The sleep came faster this time, and I drifted off without even a second thought of the lamplight or the strange tune. Come morning, I was the first awake, eyes opening to find that Aldrich had an arm wrapped around over me, his muzzle pressed into the scruff of my neck. Oh, oh okay. With how slow his breaths were, I knew for sure he was still asleep. Having that strong grip around me felt safe, in a different way from how his hugs felt. Yes, yes. As more of the night's As sleep wore off, I realized there was a dampness in my crotch, and I was instantly wide awake. Panicked breaths as the situation became increasingly clear. I move a paw, drawing back the blanket a little to check the front of my pants. Sharing a bed with a shepherd had clearly given me my first wet dream in over a year, and I couldn't even remember what it had been about. No, I didn't want Aldrich to know I had. The mere thought of it was mortifying. Slowly, I moved an arm and grasped at his paw. As I tried to lift it so I could pull free, his grip grew stronger, holding me more firmly against him, his fingers spreading to have a wider grasp over my chest. This isn't happening. Please no. Holding my breath, I carefully took hold of his wrists again, lifting more firmly than my first attempt. It seemed to be working. Okay. Wiggling my way free bit by bit, replacing where I'd been laying with the pillow I had been using that night. Ah, that's a good CG of him. Yeah, I want to be the one to be hugging him, not the other way around. When I finally managed to slip free, Aldrich rolled over, still clutching my pillow, burying his face into it. There was a clear dark spot where the crotch of my on the crotch of my pants, even though most of the fabric seemed slightly damp. Still, I had to do something to hide it before he woke up. Frantically looking around the cabin, I grabbed a roll of toilet paper and wiped and ripped a few sheets, furiously rubbing them into the fabric, trying to dry the dark spot. Excuse me. Though it had little impact. Of course not! You just need an actual change of pants! Oh my god, you didn't bring a second pair? Of course you wouldn't. You didn't, strip down to your underwear? Then you would just have to put back on your shorts. Like, come on, Cody. Just stand outside. The sun will dry it. Yeah, that'll dry it in time. Pulling on my shirt just as I opened the door, Aldrich shifted a little in the bed, but soon settled back down, still cuddling my pillow. Finally standing in enough direct sunlight, I stretched the fabric out as much as I could, praying that spot would show me some mercy and disappear already. As I took in the beauty of the forest, waking for the day, I caught sight of a muddy paw print on the catwalk, looking down to see my paws still a little dirty. Did I go outside last night? I thought you did. Was that the dream? I thought that wasn't. I thought that was just, yes, you did that. Oh. Here I am not paying attention. Aldrich was up soon after I was, joining me on the walkway. Walkaway? The walkaway. Stretching his arm up to the sky, letting out a rather loud yawn. What, no CG of that? Come on, game. Don't fail me. Oh, actually, that looks really nice in the daylight. Okay. Fixating my eyes on the fact his nose was twitching, I grew nervous, wondering if he could smell the evidence of my wet dream.
Morning, Cody. Did you sleep all right?
Morning. Yeah. It was kind of nice, actually. It's even quieter here than the town, or it was at least.
That was one of the peaks of living in my camper. Perks, not peaks. Perks of living. Right on the edge of the forest, getting to enjoy nights and mornings just like this one.
There was no denying the beauty of the sounds of nature, like the plethora of beautiful bird songs on the crisp morning winds blowing through the trees, completely untainted by the chaotic noise of modern society.
If someone put a cup of coffee in my paw, a place to sit, and this forest, they'd have a very happy shepherd.
Maybe I could keep that in mind. The shepherd braced his paw on the railing, leaning over some to look down at the ground, while my eyes wandered down his backside, admiring the way his tail had lifted a bit. Stop it, you're gonna make stuff weird. So, you think it's safe to drive back to town?
Should be. My truck can get through anything.
Except for a storm, I guess, but okay.
Just better to have as much light as possible when the conditions get sketchy. Let me just reset the tower and we can head out.
Aldrich dealt with the more duties, I set about unmaking the bed back the way it was, packing out our trash from the night, and carrying things back down to the truck, grateful that my pants had dried enough for him not to notice. Oh, he noticed. Soon enough, we were back on the trail, and it had been the right call staying the night. A small chunk of the trail had washed out, and it took careful maneuvering to get by. Seeing the forest in the daylight with a shimmering coat of rainfall gave an entirely new beauty to it, transforming it in a way that made it feel like yet another entirely separate world.
So, what do you think about the park?
It's gorgeous, more than I could have even imagined. There's so much history to it, so many stories I could come up with about it.
Well, anytime you want to head back in, just let me know. Plenty of secrets here for you to see.
Clearly. Aldrich stopped briefly at the entrance booth, letting the ranger know about the washed-out trail before setting back to town. By the time we'd gotten back to Video Den, just over an hour had passed. It was hard to believe just how little time separated the town from the wilds.
I'll be busy. I'll be pretty busy most of the coming week. Think we both will be, be with school starting.
That's what that statement says. New journal entry. Has that been there the whole time? Have I just been... Oh, God. Oh, God. No. There we go. Reading? Never. Yeah, and I gotta settle into work. Vincent wants me to open the store myself later this week.
At least there's no summer camp bus this time. I'm really glad you're staying here.
With his ears perked, that confident smile, and the heavy thumping of his tail on the bench seat, my heart warmed. Though my love for New Orleans would never lessen, I couldn't deny how quickly I was coming to enjoy Aspen Hollow, and how swiftly fleeting any desire to leave had become. When Aldrich brought the truck to a stop outside a Video Den, he grabbed a pencil and scribbled 2 numbers on a napkin.
This one is for the campgrounds. The other is the store. Call me anytime you want, okay?
Oh yeah, there's no cell phones. Shit. Weird. That's weird to think about. Oh. I will, as long as it's no bother.
For you, Cody, nothing is a bother.
Climbing out of his truck, I grabbed my purchases from college, fishing around in the bag for my key ring, Aldrich glancing over at me with a smile.
Hey, ask Vinny if you can, have Thursday night off, alright?
What for?
Misty and her band has a gig in Cedar Valley. Figured we could go. What do you say?
Yeah, I'd love to meet her finally, and hear her band live.
Alright then. Just drop me a message if you, get the night off, and I'll pick you up at 5 on Thursday. See you later, Otter.
Bye, Aldrich. Thank you again for the trip. Aldrich drove off, and I disappeared into my apartment. I still had an hour before my shift. Time enough to catch a shower. I was quick to set down all of my school purchases and stick a copy of my class schedule to the fridge with a magnet, soon slipping into the shower. With a heavy sigh, I let my head rest against the cold subway tile walls as the warm water ran down my back, eyes fixating on the swirling vortex going down the drain. Trying my best to let the water wash away the worries starting to swarm my head right now, that I had nobody to hide them from. What the heck is wrong with me? Just say it. I'm gay. The words were whispers, barely even audible to make myself over the sound of the running water, still looking at the ground like a defeated pup. I'm gay. I spoke louder than the first time, lifting my head slightly, a hearty sigh escaping my maw as I continued to bolster myself into admitting the truth. He's not my paw anymore. I'm gay. I'm gay and I'm paws clenched into fists. I hunched over, resting my head against the tile, fresh tears rolling down my muzzle. I couldn't get the last words out. Calling myself that felt like a leap of faith I'd fail at. The mere thought of the word makes my back burn, just like my paws belt. I'm gay, and that's all that matters. Rest of it, well, I'll figure it out as I go. He's not here. I'm not going to hide anymore. A wave of strangely sorrow-filled joy washed over me, my legs shaking so much that I ended up sitting in the bottom of the tub, sobbing into my paws. Why would you? I feel like that would be weird, like sitting in like the shower, right? Have any of you done that? That's weird. Just the thought of finally letting myself truly living free at long last unleashed so many emotions at once. I hardly knew what to do with myself. I wasn't sure how long it would take for the crying to stop, but eventually I stood up, dried off, and got dressed for work, feeling a hint of relief, ready to just be me. No more hiding. Oh, okay. So you know what? Actually, we will stop here, I think. So, I'll we'll end the part here. So I'll see you around, everyone.